Sir, good evening, Babu garu.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Sir. How are you, sir?
Fine, sir. Thank you very much.
Generally, where are you, sir? In Chennai? You are living in Chennai?
I am in near Velachery.
Velamcherry.
That is around 6 or 7 kilometers from airport. Fairly a newly developed area.
శివశంకర్ గారు, సురేంద్ర గారు, అందరికీ నా నమస్కారాలు.
సార్ నమస్కారం సార్.
Namaskaram, sir. Sir, you have come in style like a captain.
Okay, sir. Sir, చెప్పండి సార్.
ఏం లేదు సార్. సరస్వతి
చెప్పండి. నమస్తే చెప్పండి.
మామూలే
సార్.
సో ఇవాళ ఇచ్చే లెక్చర్ గొప్ప మేధావి ఆయన.
సార్.
So I wish all the listeners will be enjoying a lot.
Sir.
Namaskaram. Apa चालू है?
Sir, Sivasankar sir, please unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Sir, we will start within 5 minutes, sir.
Not a problem. I'm ready. Shyam sir has raised hands. Anything you want to talk?
Yes, sir. I am talking with him.
Okay.
Shyam, sir, please unmute yourself.
Hello. Hello.
Sir, Shyam Garu, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Sir, good evening, sir. Sivasankar Babu, sir.
Good evening.
Sir.
4-5. Shyam, sir, within 2 minutes, we will start at 4-5.
No problem.
Mobile data to sir.
Yes, sir. Can we start, sir?
Yeah.
Namaste. Good evening and welcome to one and all. Myself, 𝗕𝗏 Stapathya, Associate President of Stapathya Parishad. As you know, we are a group of Telugu Stapathies who was studied in Sri Venkateswara Institute of Traditional Sculpture and Architecture, maintaining by 𝗕𝗯𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 Devasthanam's Tirupathi. It's my privilege to say the Stapathya Parishad has been organizing web seminars consistently since 36 weeks for all who are interested on Indian traditional sculpture and architecture as well as Indian culture, heritage and history. Hope all previous topics are fascinated and created knowledgeable joy to all of you. Previously, we have discussed several interesting topics which was delivered by a wonderful personalities, and today we are discussing about Padmakesra Deula, the Mystery of Konark. On behalf of Stapathya Parishad team, I am feeling glad to welcoming Sri Sivasankar Babu, popularly called Babu from 𝗕𝗯𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏 Trust. Sri Sivasankar Babu Garu is doing consulting in banking and finance in requirement, testing and product training through his own company, 𝗕𝗯𝗏𝗃𝗀. Earlier, after working for 15 years in Indian Overseas Bank, he shifted to IT-related services and was managing banking-related business units in Hexaware, Wipro, Capgemini, etc. for 29 plus years till 2016. Now, in his spare time, being a heritage enthusiast, learning new things in temple architecture, iconography, epigraphy, and history of dynasties. He is part of Tamil Heritage Trust and supports as docent for Malay Kanchi tours. He is also involved with several regional heritage groups like 𝗬𝗃𝗀𝗔, CVAS, etc. in their heritage walks and seminars. He has written several tour guides on Ajanta, Badami, Pattadakal, Aihole for CVAS. At present, he is working on a simple book, Dravidian Temple Architecture, a guidebook for beginners to be published soon. Hearty welcome, Sri Sivasankar Babu sir. Please start your talk. Namaste.
Prasad ji,
Yes.
please give to our Dr. Surendra host.
Okay.
He joined.
Okay.
Yes. Good evening, all.
Very good
Am
evening,
I
sir.
audible? Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. The screen is clear, visible.
Clearly visible, sir. Clearly.
Thank you. Good evening, all. Happy to be again talking in Stapathya Kala Parishad one more time. This is my second time. 3-4 months ago, I did one. My first chance was given for explaining about Dravida Temple Architecture. Maybe it is prompt at the time itself. Sir President confirmed that yes, we need to have a follow up on some of the North Indian temples, and this is one chance of getting into an interesting temple and a unique temple by all means, and it is a mystery. So today we are going to talk about the Sun Temple in Konark, which is called as Padmakesra Deula in the documentations. Like how big temple is called 𝗕𝗲𝗔𝗊𝗟 in the inscriptions, this is called as Padmakesra Deula. So before we start the presentation, I'd like to thank the Stapathya Kala Parishad, who have been very appreciative of my effort and then have been supporting me, even though I am not a professional Stapathi or a research scholar or working in department. They have been very supportive of me and encouraging me to talk more and then discuss on many things. That has been a great support. Only because of that, we are able to do some of the things interestingly. I thank them on first. And I also give my pranams to all the Stapathis who made these excellent temples possible by the tradition, and my first pranams to them before we go into that. So before we start talking on the subject, I would like to first say thanks to the references which I used for this content and the books I referred. So this presentation is possible due to my involvement and then the training I got in one of the site seminars of Tamil Heritage Trust, where before traveling to Konark, we were supposed to present about one each temple, and I took Konark, and that is how I got exposed to Konark. Without viewing Konark, I did a 2 presentation. And finally, with the details, I was able to cover Konark when I went there along with the group. In a matter of 3 hours, we were able to cover the entire site completely, covering all the critical inputs. Many of this, at the time when we went in, there were a lot of scaffolding and construction work was going on. We couldn't enter some areas, and all the photographs had like a crow feet kind of ugly structures all over the place. But this year, January, things have changed. They have removed the scaffoldings, and we have got beautiful photos of aerial views, and the photos are fantastic. And I had taken it from ASA Konark website. That has been excellent work doing it. And some of the images have been taken, old images have been taken from British Library and the book New Light on Konark. And there is a Facebook group on Sun Temple Konark who actively contribute on many of these discussions. There also I had taken, wherever I had taken miscellaneous, I had done the reference. In terms of books, the major part of this presentation is from New Light on Sun Temple of Konark in 1972 by Alice Bonar, 𝗧𝗺𝗏 and Rajendra Pratap Das. And some of the additional information are the peripheral information from Thomas Donaldson book and the graphic book on Konark by ASI. So if you want to go a little more deeper into this, you can always refer to these books, Ananda Kumar Swami book and T. Donaldson Temple Art of Odisha and Ganga Monarch by Donaldson again. And there is one detailed later book, Konark 𝗫𝗃𝗀𝗏, which is collated all the other books condensed and then presented in a simple way. So this is as far as references. Now, let us see the scope of this presentation, what we are going to see. I am assuming this is an English-speaking audience, so I am going to speak only in English. I don't know Odisha language or for that matter, very little Hindi. So primarily the medium of delivery will be in English only. And I understand that the audience knows the basics of Tamil and basics of pan-Indian history. So what we are going to cover in today's session is about the mystery and history of Konark Temple, about the kings, about the artisans, how they did the construction, and what is the chronology, how it happened, how many years it took, and why it went into dilapidation, and how it was discovered by British in 19th century, and see some of the drawings and pictures about the monument, and also a flypast of the monument. So this is the scope. Since this kind of presentations is normally around 1 hour 15 minutes maximum, this is what we can cover in this time. So these beautiful aspects of Sun Temple Konark I am skipping for this presentation. Maybe we can have a follow-up session on some other time on this, about the overview of the temple, the detailed temple architecture, and the coverage of each of these components, Deula, Jaganmohana, 𝗫𝗏𝗏, the superstructure of this, the beautiful sculptures, the rathas, and the animals, the landscape, everything. The pictures I am giving it as a skip, and maybe at a future time we may have a similar detailed presentation on this. So after reading this, if you are interested in the order of complexity of sequence, you can read these 4 books. First is the Konark World Heritage Series book, simple and neat, 60 pages only. And then Thomas Donaldson book is little more detailed, around 100 pages, beautiful. And Karnasagar Behera's book, 𝗫𝗃𝗀𝗏, is fairly detailed, 200 pages, and gives things in a very simple manner. But you want detailed documentation on whatever I am presenting here, better to refer New Light of Sun Temple. So this is as far as references are concerned. Now, going over to the content, what we are going to see today, we are going to discuss this in 3 parts. One, we are not going as per the chronology. We are just for making the clarity. I am giving an overview how it was discovered and what mysteries and histories it pushed, and then how we were able to piece together. The green part explains how we are able to piece together the mystery of Konark. And third part, if time permits, I'll be briefly touching on Odisha Temple Architecture, because otherwise we won't be able to understand the various parts which I am describing, and how it was planned earlier and what is available now, and if time permits, a brief peek into them. So this I am trying to achieve it in around 1 hour time. Now it is 4:20. Probably before 5:20 I will try to finish it. So going into the first one, an introduction into Konark. So this is Konark is one of the major temples built for sun god, and which has been worshipped from Vedic times. And there are a lot of references for this site from early days. Brahma Purana refers Odisha as a great religious center, and it highlights 4 major centers for Shiva, Ekamra, the 𝗕𝗯𝗧𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗧𝗏 temple, and Vishnu temple in Puri, and 𝗑𝗯𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗧𝗏 temple, Shakti Pita, and the final one is 𝗕𝗯𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗧 or Konark for the sun temple, for the 4 primary deities of sects at the time in Hindu religion. Another variation is that Vishnu Purana, after killing the Asura, it says that Vishnu gave 4 of his weapons indicative sthalas in Odisha. So the chakra is represented in Bhubaneswar, and Puri, Shank is represented in Puri, and Gatha represented in Viraja or Jajpur, and the Padma is represented in Konark. So that is the reason for the name Padmakesra. The Konark is also named as Kona, Konark and Arkasan. So that is the etymology the scholars are suggested, and it is called several other names: Padmakesra, Bhaskara Tirtha. And Purana says that the original sun temple was built by Samba, son of Krishna, who indulged in sin, and he was cursed with 12 years of penance. And then after praying sun god and then taking bath in the river near Konark, he was removed of his skin disease, and then he built it with the aid of Magas from Sakativa, that is Iranian sun worshipper clan. This is another history which is consistently coming across all the sun temples of Magas from Sakativa. So this is referred in Samba, Bhavishya, Varaha, and Skanda Puranas. All the Puranas have it. So this is about Konark as a Purana. Interestingly, a state of temples, so many temples, but this is the only one World Heritage Monument. There is a 1984 from the land of temples, and there is a monument to it. So this is how it looks. The latest pictures, see the grandeur, beautiful Natha Mandira and the Jagmoguna, the big tower. This is the praying mandapa, and the actual temple behind it is damaged, no longer available. Now, let us go back in history to 16th century. The tracking from 16th century. So if you go back in history from now, the earlier complete reference of an intact temple is 1580, where Abul Fazl on travel mentions the Konark temple, which is beautiful, and then it is judgment is so he praises it in a flowery language, but it says that it is beautiful and it is a live temple. So that is where it stands. But for the next 200 years, no news, no documentation, nothing, and it seems to be vanished. So this is what it could have looked like at the time, and it vanished, and then no information, nothing. So probably this has gone into disuse, and people have stopped worship, and it has become a dense forest. So around 1759, there is a mention of the first trip in 𝗲𝗏𝗃𝗔. 𝗲𝗏𝗃𝗔 is a chronicle of Puri temple, where they maintain in palm leaves on all the important happenings, political as well as religious happenings in the temple, like an event of record or project diary kind of a thing. So it mentions, this is during the time where Marathas were ruling, where the Baba Brahmachari, the personal guru of the ruling Maratha king, he has heard about this temple, and he traveled many weeks, and then finally arrives at a huge mound forest, and he tries to clear and finds a big temple tip and some of the things visible among the mud or sand dunes. So he sees major damages to the north and east side. East side is facing the beach, and the north side is on the right hand side. So at this point of time, he sees that it is going to get damaged severely. So he takes some of the intact thing, the pedestal of the Ratna Simhasana and the image, the Sun Temple image with hands broken. He has taken it. We don't know where it is now. The Arunastamba is the pillar which is now in front of the Puri Sumadara, the main entrance. And also an image of Narasihma Deva, which is at Lakshmi Temple now, and a Navagraha stone in Guddicha Temple. So some of this he has carted and come back. And then there is a second expedition documented in 𝗲𝗏𝗃𝗔 somewhere in the year 1795, around 30 years later. Still the damage is more. He tries to unearth and recover the temple, but not able to do. He moves some of the images. And by the time the Raja gets captured by the British, and this kind of religious activities come to a stop. So by 1800, Britishers take control of this area, and then they start exploring it. During the initial time in 1809, there is a sketch of this building, and he camps in front of this mound. See the mound, and this has no relevance to the current building. So this is all damaged, and only the remaining of the partial temple is available there. This is how he says that this is how the original temple should have been, and only this much is remaining on the profile. So this is the view on 1809. On 1824, Stirling does a painting, and there also you can see only a small section of the Vimana is still standing like a sail of a ship. And this is the view from north. And this is there in Asiatic research references. Again, further more years. And in 1838, our famous architecture and painter, Ferguson, makes a visit, and he sees the projecting walls are still standing behind. This is in 1838. This Navagraha lintel on the top is still intact. And he also sees the pillars in front of the Mukashala has already collapsed and then the 𝗕𝗃𝗀𝗃, he has noticed that it is somewhere here. And he says that it is some almost like Lingaraja and Puri temple, but it is far more beautiful in terms of detailed carving and richness in content. There is the view. Still some more activity happens, and by the time photography is developed, and they start taking photographs. So this is the view from southeast side of the mandapam, and this is the view, straight view. And see to the earlier pictures where the frame and Navagraha lintel was still intact. This medallion and everything is now missing. The side, a lot of the pictures and the sculptures are missing now. And it is totally damaged. You see that this has been broken and many of the medallions have fallen down. And the roof also dilapidated place. You can see two persons sitting here, and you can imagine the size of the particular temple. So around 1800s, when British were exploring this is how it looked like. One big mound containing the and a smaller mound containing the Natha Mandira, and it was visible only at the platform level, nothing else, only these two mounds. So gradually, over the period of 50-60 years, they started cleaning the site and then rearranging everything, and gradually they found a detailed, extensive shape and steps and beautiful sculptures on the edges of this platform. The entire edge is full of sculptures, and over a period, as they cleaned all the sand, they found out more and more structures visible around this structure, and then came to the fuller view of the temple. So let us see what kind of activities happened during 1800 to recover this. So when they first cleared the sand, they identified the Natha Mandira as a roofless structure, and this main the prayer hall, the 𝗕𝗃𝗀𝗃, standing as it is, and this one damaged, sanctum damaged with no image inside. And on three sides, three separate images of sun, the morning, noon, and evening suns with images, but damaged condition temples. Later on, in around 1848, the southwest portion of the Deul, which was remaining, collapsed due to strong gales. So the temple was done only up to the Bada level, where up to the wall only, no superstructure, and everything collapsed. Later on, around 1900, so they dug a lot of areas clean and found out the elephants, horses complexes there. The 𝗕𝗃𝗀𝗃s were strewn around somewhere here. They were taken and then they were set up here. And while excavating the sand and this one, they found out that this is not at a level, and another 6 to 8 feet worth of grand platform, raised platform is there. And then only they found out the 7 horses wheels and all the beautiful structures and the sculptures are all around the place. Later on in 1901, the Lieutenant Governor visits this place and finds that the 𝗕𝗃𝗀𝗃 is whole, and then it is shaking. And because of that, they are finding that there might be structural issues. So what he does is, he opens a hole on top and then fills the entire, he closes all the 4 entrances and fills the entire structure with sand. Then further digging, they find on the southwest corner and another small temple, which is the earlier temple of sun god before the main temple was built. In 1915, the Navagraha panel, which was somewhere here, it was lying in a separate place, and it was put in a shed in this corner, and all the other carved pieces were put in as a museum. So then the Navagraha started worshipped, and all other area is excavated for more content. Around 1939, while excavating, we find the kitchen block, the Vaishnava temple, and the south gateway, horses, all these things they find. So they keep on finding. So only around 1960-65, the full extent of the temple was found. They started exploring around 1820. Only by 1960, they could identify the full extent of the temple available on the day. There was tremendous work. Finally, after all the clearing and highlighting, in 1984, we got the UNESCO recognition as a World Heritage Site, the first one for Odisha, still the only one. So this is how the progression happened during 1800 on rediscovering this temple. Now, when Britishers found this temple, and such a huge temple, part damaged and other things, they were able to identify a rough idea on who built it, but there are many unanswered questions at that point of time. So the first one is, why build such a big project way away from the capital? It should be either in Bhubaneswar, Puri, or Bidnasi, which is Qatar, which was the capital at the time, and it is in a totally different place. And what drove the king to build such an ambitious and big temple at this point of time? How many years it took to plan, build, and complete this temple, and whether this temple was completed full or it was dropped in between and left as it is. And then where did the artisans came from where they were sourced? They are from Odisha, they are from Andhra, they are from Maharashtra, or deep south from the Chola country. And was it done by forced labor from the countries he has won, or it is by a dedicated guild of builders? How did they, this is near a beach, how did they were able to procure the stones and other material, and how they were able to transport it? Was there any port at the time like Mahabalipuram in Chennai, or how did they manage it? And where did they found the stones to construct such a massive thing? Same story like Big Temple. Big Temple is in a total agricultural plain area, and they had to source it from 60-70 kilometers. And why they used iron beams, and then how they were structured along with the stone. And how did they raise such a huge stones and beams to such a height and set it up in a structure? And another major question, was it completed or abandoned in between? And the biggest question which we have been consistently discussing is, how did it collapse? Due to size, or faulty construction, or foundation faulty, or due to the frequent cyclones and the thunderstorms available at the point, or it was just left as it is abandoned and it went to, or it was wanton vandalism by invaders who destroyed this temple. So these are all the questions we have when we come to this mystery part. So we will try to, the historians have pieced together this open questions piecemeal by piecemeal. By around 1970s, a fairly clear picture enabled. So we are looking at how do the story was restructured is primarily from 6 major documents which were used as historical evidences. Of course, there are some inscriptions, but mainly from palm leaves, which have been written over generation, copied. But again, when you focus on palm leaves, there is a question about their reliability, and when it is copied from one section to another, we always come up with some transcription errors and then imagination. However, the fairly thorough job has been done. The primary interesting book is called 𝗑𝗪𝗃𝗀. This is the project book. In terms of palm leaves, 73 palm leaves, Karani script in Old Oriya. And Sadasivarat and others, what they did was, around 1960s, they got hold of 2-3 versions of the same book in different things. So they have collated, they have removed the inconsistencies among them and published this book in 1972 on New Light on Konark. So this is one of the major reference for piecing this chronology of the temple. If you see this, it is one of a kind book. Even in when we say documentation, we always cite big temple in Thanjavur. But again, when you go to Thanjavur, the focus is post facto. After the temple has been done, Rajaraja says that I have done this temple, and these are the people who donated, who supported it, and these are the artisans who helped it. And then the rest goes to all the donations, nothing about how it was constructed, how many years, and what was the methodology, no documentation. Whereas this, from day one till it was accounts are closed and delivered for 12 years, from 7th year regnal year to 18th regnal year, 12 years of construction, they got a detailed documentation. This is a one-of-a-kind documentation which is not available for any other big temple in India. The next source is a Padmakesra Deula. It is again a palm leaf. Basically, around 16th century, when the next generation Raja, he wanted to document the 4 big temples, Lingaraja, Jagannath, Padmakesra, and then he assigned surveyors who documented the diagram as well as measurements in this. So we get it around 23 leaves in Old Oriya script. So this is the only document which gives you how the temple looked like. Otherwise, we don't have any photograph, anything else to visualize how it looked like. The third interesting primary source is Madalapanji. Like I said earlier, the Puri temple journal. This was started during the Anandavarma Chodaganga period and started documenting the happenings in Puri. So somewhere around 16th century, when Kalpahad Sultan Suleiman, and he invaded Puri and then repeatedly burned down all the temples. This was destroyed, and after that, it was reassembled with the available alternate copies and rewritten, probably with additional post facto corrections. So of this is the primary evidence, and this is a supporting, and this is the circumstantial evidence. In addition, we also have another document, again a palm leaf, which is called Trikala Mahamaya Archana Vidhi. So this is in Oriya script in Sanskrit, which talks about the philosophical and religious aspects of the earlier Mahagayatri temple, which was the old sun temple. Another one is Silpasarani, which is the theoretical technical treatise, the Silpa Shastra on Odisha architecture. So the plan suggested there for Mahaprasastha type of temples there. And the Mukasala, the plans, ratios, everything matches perfectly with this. And they have compared with the Lingaraja plans also. And this plan is almost like 1.5 times the Lingaraja plan in most of the major diagrams. The last interesting document is the Padmakesra Deula Karmangi. So this is the like our agamas. This is the rules and rituals to be followed in the main temple, written in Karani script, and it gives in detail what are the daily pujas, evening pujas, monthly pujas, special pujas, everything in detail described. So we clearly know that this was a temple completed and it was in worship for a long period. So these are all coming out somewhere in the 1960s, 70s by identifying these documents. So this is how the history and mysteries about the temple are resolved by piecing together these following documents. Now, based on these documents, let us see what is there in this document in terms of the king, the artisans, the chronology, and how possibly it might have. So we will also search for clues in these documents on how it would have declined. So first, let us see about the king. Usually we start with the kings, even though the Shilpis are the guys who are actually doing it. Before we go deeper into the king, I am seeing two parallel, lot of similarities between two kings with the same great vision. Interestingly, both were sons of great kings, and they were in their shadow of their father, forefather for a long time before creating a niche of their own. And both were working as military commander or army chief under his father, and even during younger days has won many wars as crown prince. Initial years are spent in invading north all the way and then expanding south to create a fairly good infrastructure and fund for his grand temple building projects. And both wanted to commemorate their victories by building grand monuments, which will be surpassed by whatever is built by their forefathers. Interestingly, both the temples achieved the greatest fame during this time, and they were the biggest temples during that period. But after that period, another 100, 200 years, after 300 years, slowly went into disuse. And whereas the temples built by the forefathers still continue to be in worship and continued as a stable things. This is an interesting analogy. By now you might have guessed whom these two kings are. So obviously the first one is the king who built Konark, Narasihma Deva, one of 1238 to 1264 CE. He is a sponsor of Padmakesra Deula. The other comparison is around 150 years earlier, who built this grand temple in 𝗕𝗯𝗂𝗀𝗀. This is none other than Rajendra Chola, who lived in 1014 and the sponsor of Ganga. So both, if you see, if you look back on the comparison, they are almost having similar ambition, and then they are great kings in their even from their younger days. So such is the character which drives the ambition of these kings who built grand temples. So let us go to the next step. Let us have an idea before going into the king. Let us see about the dynasty. Eastern Ganga dynasty has been there in Odisha, and while Chola were prospering in around the same time, they were also expanding in a grand way. And then they were temple builders of Odisha for 400 years. So this is the lineage starting from Anantavarma, Raja, Anantavarma, Chola Ganga. There is a big line. The colored ones, other than white, are the key kings who contributed a lot to temple building and who stabilized the dynasty. And this foundation took for another 300 years for having a stable dynasty. Almost a similar, you can map kings of similar characters among Chola dynasty. Among this, Narasihma Deva is the last king who had the maximum reach among the Eastern Ganga dynasty. Let us see only the key kings briefly. Anantavarma Chola Ganga is a relative of Veera Rajendra Chola, Maplay of Rajendra Chola. However, when Kulothunga shifted from Vengi and became king of Chola, and due to dispute, he did 2 invasions and then made major impact on destroyed Kalinga to a great extent. And Anantavarma Chola Ganga started rebuilding Puri temples from the damaged economy. He could do only so much. The next king, Anagarabhima Deva II, completed the Puri temple to the current shape of a grand structure. His daughter Chandrika completed the Ananta Vasudeva temple, which is near the tank. Next, his son Rajaraja II was a fairly simple reign, and many Muslim invasions. This is the time where the Muslim invasions were happening, and the Cholas were also having some amount of pressure. And this is the start of Muslim expedition into the southern areas. So most of the time he was fighting it under no major achievement. And Anangabhima Deva, the father of Narasihma Deva, he built the Bhaskareswara temple in Bhubaneswar. And it is a unique 2-story kind of a temple built around a Ashoka pillar as a linga. Finally comes our hero, Narasihma Deva, who built the Padmakesra temple in Konark. So this is the lineage of Ganga dynasty. So let us see what is the character of Narasihma Deva. If you look at the temple, all over the place, he is present in many forms, many ways. The message, Narasingha, is always there. Simha is always there on top of elephant. Anywhere, everywhere, his portraits on various activities has been projected. And such is the price of him that unlike the big temple or where there is no image of Rajaraja found. People say that 1 or 2 images, but no conclusive proof. But here, the panels are full of Narasihma Deva doing a lot of activities. So let us see how he built the empire. This is an interesting story. Actually, even during his younger days, he was in south fighting as a commander like Rajendra. And he defeated Ganapati of Kakadiya. Up to Godavari, he covered it. And then north, he covered Midnapur. And then he plundered capital Gaud of Lakshmanavati, and along with his brother-in-law, Paramarthi Deva. And till 1256, Paramarthi Deva was resisting from north. He was a northern commander, and he died in a sudden skirmish. Till such time, there was no invasion at all from Muslims. Interestingly, he built a very strong resistance. He was the first one to go against Bengal Muslims on offensive. The earlier kings were always on the defensive. He went all the way up to Bengal and had 2 or 3 glorious fights, attacking all the way. And the Bengal governor and things have to move out of their capital. That was a type of offensive they were making. And so that put the Bengal Muslim groups on defensive. So for the next 300 years, until 1568, 𝗕𝗯𝗂𝗏 came in, there were peace in Odisha. That was the best period of Odisha. So this is in terms of expansion for funding. Why I am saying this is, even in the 𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗏𝗃 in many of these documents, there are many entries which says that Raja came back from this campaign and gave a lot of gold coins and money for funding the next 2 months or 3 months worth of project, like that. So war as well as building construction was happening simultaneously. If you see temple building activities, interestingly, even during his younger days, even when he was 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏, he has recruited a fairly good group of around 500 people who are experts in various things. Okay, so they have built them and then they have collected them in Warangal, and with them he also did some campaigns and then captured Warangal. So even when he was young, he has already planned and then he has already started quarrying six years prior. Even though the temple was started somewhere around 1241, the quarrying has been going long before that. Konark is not the only temple he has built. He has built other famous temples in 𝗕𝗯𝗃𝗀𝗏, 𝗕𝗯𝗃𝗀𝗏, Kapla. All are temples par excellence in this design. The primary passion was Konark, and then for that he is favorably called 𝗕𝗯𝗃𝗀𝗏. And there is a poem by Vidyadhara called 𝗕𝗃𝗀𝗏, which praises him as 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. So this is about his temple pension. In this sculpture which is there in the museum, National Museum, we can see the king praising to 3 primary deities, the Puri Jagannatha and Bhuvaneshwar Lingaraja, as well as the sun god. All the 3 deities are worshipped here. So this is about the king. Now, having seen the king, let us see who are all the people who contributed to constructing this temple. So to start with, I am starting with Vinayaka. This is one of the beautiful Vinayakas now in museum in somewhere in US. So the 𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗏𝗃, the project manual, lists who are all the prime responsibilities, how they were rewarded, how they were given monthly remuneration, and then how they were given bonuses on completing one work and rewards, and how they were rewarded on completing the work and then doing the consecration on time. So this is the major key players and along with the roles. So Narasihma Deva is the chief executive officer or the owner of the company, and Sadasiva Samantaraya Mahapatra was the Sutradhara or the chief architect. And under him, Gadadhara Mahapatra, who worked as an executive architect. He is the actual one who will be coordinating with the others. He is more on the design side. He worked as a Karmakara, as a Parishad, superintendent of works. It is like HR as well as the project management delivery. And under them, there are 2 major guys. Vidyadhara Mara is Murtikara for images, and Ainta Maharana for he is called Swansya, which is primarily working on the stone structures and others. Under them, there are many players, Rajiva Maharana for scaffolding, plastering, iron casting. So different key players were there. And interestingly, there was an administrator for the camp. And the interesting guy for us is called Stapathya called Harisandana Brahmarabra. So he is in charge of account. He is the one who maintained the bias Akada for 12 years and did all the documentation in detail. So finally, in the last slip, he says that the project is completed. I have submitted account. I am submitting my responsibility and this account is sealed. So beautiful documentation, and you need to go through that to enjoy this. In addition to this, there are frequent expert comments and expert reviews by the Rani. She frequently used to come here. This is the Parmara Queen, the Rani of Narasihma Deva, and two Raja Gurus, and they are stationed in one in �11𝗏𝗏𝗏, one in Puri. They used to come and frequently do it. And then there is a 𝗍𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Thanjavur temple, there is a Panditer here who is called 𝗕𝗯𝗦𝗧𝗊𝗂𝗀𝗄𝗃. So this document identifies the primary roads. So these are all key players. Let us see what are the actual type of artisans who are working around in this. Initially, when they kickstart the project, they start around 700 people, and then gradually the team is expanded, shrunk, and then during monsoon season it got reduced, and then during peak season they recruit more people. All these events are happening. It are classes of artisans, goldsmith and painters, plasters, and frieze makers, jalikara, frieze makers, and kamarakanta. This is iron casters, bronze casters, okay, and then executive architect, karmakara, senior guy. Stone quarries, he is managed by somebody who is expert in cutting stones, and then specialist in stones. Similarly, they had other people who are chariot builders, Rathakara, Silpi. They have got so many classifications. Head of Silpi, Silpi Nayaka, Silpa Shastra Vakanika, instructor. There is a training school happening there, and there is a certified people who can do some work, Stapathika or Stapaka or Stapati, who are trained, who can do certain work. And Sutradhara, like we said earlier, is the head of all these things. So they had a group of artisans, and then they used to work in coordination for over 12 years. Now, from where they captured all the stones, if you see this map, Konark is somewhere over here on the beach. Okay, there is some funny story saying that Konark was, the temple was built under sea, and then gradually over a period, the water line receded. All sorts of funny stories are there. But for practical purpose, Puri is here, somewhere here, and Bhubaneswar is here. Vidyanasi, the capital, is in the Mahanadi junction. So this is in a weird, remote place. And now there is no river or nothing nearby. But this document talks about Chandrabhaga River flowing very close to the temple, and they have cut one channel in the thing like the Egyptian style. They might have cut one channel here for delivery of all the quarried stones from here. So let us go zoom up and see from where they got the story. So another, if you see this, the scale is around 100 miles plus. So the 100 miles away, these are the hills from which they have quarried, and then they have used a river system to bring all these stones from there. And the quarrying work has started 6 years ahead of time. And from that time itself, this has been going on, and finally it reaches the shed. Interestingly, the 𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃 talks about various types of stones used for different works. If we take mahogany, the chlorite is a fairly strong and then malleable stone with a lot of luster. We have got 4 varieties. The laterite is used for foundation. The whitish stone with spots is for inner walls. So primarily like your nowadays tiles. And the porous stones are used for outer building and foundation. Mahogany is chlorite is a premium variety. So there itself they use white chloride for altar, blue chloride for 𝗲𝗃, the 4 outer devatas and frames, and a black chloride for the puja image, Dikbala and Raja image. They used black chloride, and the rougher chloride used for pillars and pedestals. And there is one rosy stone containing crystals they used in ornamental stuff. In addition, they had so many varieties of sandstones which are primarily used for walls, foundations, and some of the coarse grained work. So it gives a fairly good detailed peek on how the stones were sourced and then how they were transported and then how they were used here. Interesting. Now, they also used iron beams. And this is the picture of iron beams which is available in the northeast corner of the temple, where we have still some of the iron beams lying. So they primarily used for cross strut and for load bearing across various areas. So they had an fairly advanced cast iron smelting. You might have seen that there are designations, there are roles for cast iron smelting. And then they had advanced foundry to forge this kind of continuous large beams. And they have done it with a fairly good amount of carbon purity that even after so many years, it is still not rusted very badly. They have some of the bars here have been there in open from 1800. Earlier, it was enclosed in the structure. Even after 300 years, it is still looking good. The technology equivalent to the iron pillar technology of 𝗬𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃 pillar. So again, this has the use of iron has created its own myths about magnets, hanging, and other things, which you will see later. So how did they lift all this heavy stuff way up? The iron beams and the huge stones, primarily using elephants and scaffolding. They clearly say that there are no earthen slopes and sand filling of inner structures for temporary stability. They have been building block like that, and then they have been structuring. So that the mention, this talks about various kinds of scaffoldings, horizontal, vertical, side, and all these things in detail. So the Sarmaji has visualized based on the description and drawn this representative diagrams. So this is how they raise the Navagraha stone and other things by scaffolding, by using a lot of elephants, and then using pulleys. So basic, simple technology, but again, there is scope for heavy accidents, but somehow they made it. If we compare this with how big temple in Thanjavur was built up, this is a different thing. So basically in Konark, they used bonding material like lime and some amount of support, which requires regular maintenance. Whereas big temple was done in very fine fit with interlocking blocks. And in big temple, there was no bonding material used. So it is a shallow foundation with a large grain, so it handles any amount of earthquake, and interlocking with no metal or mortar bonding. Double wall with reduced corbelling. So the load was handled by double wall. And using this technology, they didn't use any iron beams for load bearing. Interestingly, they used mud slopes to access higher points of the temple. Like they built basic blocks up to this, and then covered them in mud, and then started building higher and higher. And once this is structure is completed, started sculpturing from top, and then finalizing it and coming back in sequence. So this is a fairly simple and quicker technology. Probably around 7 or 8 years, they completed a very complex temple by this method. So we saw how the artisans built it. Now let us see the timeline taken. So the kickoff was within Anka 7. So Anka means regnal year. So there is a complex calculation of Anka for Odisha structure. They skip first year, second year, and then there are some complex rules. So we will say for now Anka means regnal year. That is enough. So in the 9th year, 5th year, they start the Mangaloparna. And around 9th year, Maharaja's father-in-law also supports with some amount of shilpis from Madurai and some gifts. This is working, interestingly, this is like working like a typical project management of this one. So we can say that ISO 21500, which is the current standard for project management, which they implemented in 1250 itself. It is like, if you see a typical IT project, almost the same. So the new team joins and they build the team. And there is an issue when the Madurai Shilpis, the Sutradhara says that your work is not up to mark, and then the offended Madurai Shilpis go on hunger strike. He doesn't know what to do, and then escalates to Raja. Raja pays because they are from their father-in-law's place. He says that let them do on creepers and other decorative work, let them not go into the Torana and complex. Probably this might be due to their specialization more on granite, which is a harder material than the soft stone or the sandstone, which is available in Konark. And the framework Kayan casting starts by 9th year, and then prototype temples, the side temples gets built, and frequently Maharaja comes in for inspection. So Maharaja comes in. So for preparing for visit, 5 days no work. So everybody is preparing for presentation and then decoration and then cleaning up all the work, which we see even now. Client visit is a major event. So one by one milestones are achieved. The temple is structured and big line goes on top. And then as usual, delivery failures happen. So the big mahogany stone load fails to arrive on schedule, whereas they have planned so many things on that. So because of that, there is a delay and the pilot is fined for non-delivery. This is how we lose projects in IT. And the frequent project funding by war booty. So there are previous mentions of Raja going to war, coming back with gold coins and distribution. And finally, somewhere around 10th year, this one, he says that the Radha Saptami, the birthday of sun comes on a Sunday in this year. So you guys need to finish it on the 10th day of 10th month of 10th year. The roof of temple need to be closed. They tried to do it, they fix it, Kalasa, they somehow close the roof of the temple, they build the Beki on top of it, but when it comes to Kalasa, they are having a lot of problems, and then they do a customization. They call all the experts fly in, and finally somehow they fix it up. And interestingly, one of the rare projects which goes on time, on target. And Mahasukla Paksha, on son's birthday in 1258, the project kicks off and then the puja happens. A rare situation of on-time project during early days. So this is like a typical project. And after this, Vidyadhara Pattanaayaka, the documentation guy, completes account, submits 3 copies to head office, branch office, regional office, and then winds off. This is like a quality control project closure. Interestingly, they deliver the project on time, but there are a lot of issues and some of the hiccups. So earlier, the king has been highlighting that this needs to be done in time. So there are many issues they were raised. Initially, there was a problem saying that on 14th day of Magha Shukla Paksha, to finish. So they had a problem in closing the ceiling, but still after much of escalation, it was somehow finished on time and he got rewarded for that. And then the next one, when on 14th year, the Beki is not structured, he gives a deadline that by 10th year, we need to finish. And finally, even in Kalasa, we have some issues. All this is a summation of the project issues done, this summated in this book. So this gives a clear idea of that some of this has been rushed and somehow done it. Still, that effort looks phenomenal. So the temple has been built and it is in worship for a long period. Let us see what happened to suddenly it gradually over a period, was it demolished, was it attacked, or it fell into gradual disuse. So let us analyze based on documents and circumstantial evidence. So we see that active worship was done for a fairly long time due to documents in Madalapanji as well as in other documents. In 1570, we have clear records that it was in life. Around 1570, Kalapahad, the Muslim general from Bengal, he raids this temple, but before that, the guys know that he is coming, and many of the precious stuff has been removed to Puri. And he couldn't do, and then he shows his fury and damages many of these deities and other things. But the documentation doesn't highlight about structural damage to the temple, more on damages to the deities and the frontal things. Again, over a period with this structure, with this finance coming up, slowly the maintenance of the temple comes up and the upper half of the Vimana openings gets slowly opened. And unlike Tanjore temple and other things, this is bonding is done by the plaster and other thing, which requires frequent lime wash and maintenance. And with over the years, when trees start growing and cracks or gaps develop and then water seepage, this loosens the mason work. So due to this, there is a documentation saying that the huge 𝗪𝗪𝗪 on the eastern side, which is a huge one, which is counterbalanced by another 𝗪𝗪𝗪 on the western side, it comes out, it topples and takes away east and the northern side of the temple. So they move so this damages the main puja image as well as the other images. So so the 𝗧𝗺𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪 are shifted and then kept in Purushottama temple. This is in Puri. Even now, if you go to Puri, on the northern, near the northern entrance, you can see a sun temple where these 𝗧𝗺𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪s are kept in worship. So gradually over a period, there were some worship, some pujas happening. And after some time, Madalapanji also mentions that from this year, don't send the puja and other things to this one. and then gradually the maintenance and other things stops, and then the temple goes into a disused condition, like many of the other temples around rural areas in Tamil Nadu, Andhra, and other things, which are gradually going into disuse. So this is the Padmakesra Deula Karmangi, the later version of the document, which was for that. In the colophon on the final page, it says that for 12 years there was no puja and proper thing. So the sun god gradually left this temple. So this is, as an afterthought, they have added these lines. This ties with the biological analysis. What they did is, in 1929, the mass growth which was there in the temple, they had taken and analyzed the layers of mass formation every year, and then working backwards. So the first mass formation, normally when there is no cleaning, only the mass formation starts. That starts depositing around the 16th century end. So this also ties with some of the available evidences which shows that around 16th century the worship stopped. Now at least we know what is the potential reason for the dereliction of this temple. But again, the legends don't die. There are so many stories around the magnetic structure, and the legends are there. So the peak was not able to be set up by the chief architect, so his son set it up, and because of that there was a major performance issue, and finally the 12-year son jumped from the top and committed suicide. The stories are there, no documentation in 𝗑𝗪𝗔𝗂𝗪𝗔. So it mentions about the iron plates between two stones, no reference. Central magnet which holds all the beams in place. And then the sun idol used to be magnetic and floated due to the surrounding central magnets, like the story in Gujarat. The first rays of sun will pass through the mandapas and fall on the sun idol. This story has been there for a long time, and every year the Paramban temple photograph will be circulated as Konark temple photograph for every year during sun's birthday. The central magnets are removed by Britishers for their use, or the Portuguese took away the magnets because it was clouding their navigation compass. So there are so many stories. So once the top lodestone, central stone fall out, the magnetic alignment is gone, and then the structural stability of the temple is gone, and the sanctum crumbled. So these are all there, but they still remain as myths or legends. If you analyze the 𝗑𝗪𝗔𝗂𝗪𝗔 or any of the other documentation, there is no corroborating evidence for any of these legends. So they stay as myths or legends only. So with this, we complete what we could understand about the way the temple was built based on available documentation. So let us have, having come this far, let us have a quick peek, 5-10 minutes, about the Odisha temple architecture and how it looked like, how it was documented and how it looked like. If you see the Odisha temple architecture, this is primarily 3 types of superstructures. One is called Rekha Deula, which is like a conical tower. Normally, the central sanctums will be, the Rekha Deula will be used only for the central sanctums. Okay. The next type of tower structure, superstructure, is called 𝗑𝗲 Deula. This will be a pyramidal tower, and normally this type of tower will be used for mandavas, second level of mandavas. The third style of tower is called 𝗂𝗃𝗃 Deula, which is a rectangular tower. Like this is like our side-on view of our gopurams, which we see in South India. And this is normally used for Shakti or Tantric temples. This is in terms of superstructure. If you see that the type of buildings, which is primarily a variation of Nagara architecture, if you see the type of buildings, by 12th century with with the Lingaraja temple, the full form of temple architecture has been evolved in Odisha. So this contains basically 4 mandavas. One is Garbhagriha, which is normally the sanctum. Normally a Reka or a Kakra building will be there. So Reka for normal temple, Kakra for the Shakti temples. The next building is called Jagmohan, which is for darshan, and normally it will be a pyramidal Pida type of superstructure will be there. So this is for people standing here and doing darshan. Nobody will be allowed beyond this point. The next one is the Natha Mantra, where all the festivals and other things happening. And this is, if you see this, there are more openings here so that other people can view from outside. And this is also normally a Pida type of structure. The final one is called Bhoga Mandira, where the food offerings and other things happen. Normally, in many of the temples, these 4 will be in line and connected together. Interestingly, in Konark, these 2 are connected. Natha Mantra is slightly a distance away. The Bhoga Mantra is on the right side. So this is the basic structure of temple architecture in a variation of Nagara style with slightly different names in Odisha Temple Architecture. We can discuss about this at later sessions. Okay. Now, let us see, now that at least we know what are the 4 various types of buildings that are there in Odisha Temple Architecture. Let's see, based on the documents where we have seen, how it was visualized originally and how much of that is remaining now. This is how in the main building profile drawing in the Padmakesra manuscript, which is in 16th century, as this temple was standing. So this was drawn over 4 leaves in Karani script in Oriya. So we can see these are all the components. This is the main sanctum, which stands around 1.5 times tall than the Jagmohan. The Jagmohan is the only thing we see here. The Deula is only up to this level. And we see the horses, all the chariots. Interestingly, this is the Aruna Stamba, which is now in front of the Puri temple. Similarly, you also see 2 lions here in front of this Jagmohan, which is missing. Whereas the lions in front of Natha Mantra is still there. 𝗲𝗏𝗃 is still there and the roof is missing. So this is the actual diagram, detailed diagram. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 leaves together, they have done a detailed diagram. 9, okay. So this is how it looked like. The full view of the temple. And this is how it looks like now. Only this much is remaining. This much in white is missing. If you see this in perspective, the Lingaraja temple at the time was the tallest temple, around 180 feet. And compared to that, around the same time, 𝗕𝗯𝗂𝗀𝗧𝗺𝗏 𝗵𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏 temple was around 220, around 216 or something. So based on the diagram and projection, the people estimate that the Konark temple will be around 240 feet higher than the 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏 temple. Interestingly, around this time, around 12th century, Bhojaraja near Bhopal also started building a grand temple. However, this stopped with the sanctum, the main structure around the sanctum, the roof, and it stopped at that point. But we find a lot of diagrams, and then based on the Silpa Sutra used in this, and Adam Hardy has done a projection and written a diagram on this. Based on this, this is projected to be 350 feet tall. So if it have built, that would have been the tallest temple in India even now. The Padmakesra temple manuscript also gives a lot of technical drawings, which from which we understand the details about. This is a full plan diagram and the yantras and the stars and the chakras around there and the pitas. And this is a plan of 𝗏𝗏. So that a lot of technical details, measurements are there, which are tallying to a great extent with the current measurements. Sorry. So based on these descriptions, artists have done conjunctural restoration by drawing. So this is how it could have looked. So the 𝗏𝗏 only the base is available. No, the top is missing here. This is fully available, and this up to the superstructure is gone. There are 3 major entrances, and this is the old temple. The same thing what they have done in Odisha Museum, they have done a scale model of this. This is how it looks now. You can see the superstructure missing, the roof missing on the 𝗏𝗏. And this is how it should have looked. The full splendor with all the 4 temples with roofs. Here you see the roofs missing on all the 4 things. This is how it should have looked tall. And then this is how it should have looked with the roof on this. So to sum up, this is how it looks when we see from the sky drone. This is taken from the ASI picture share. See how the empty structure will look. This is the 𝗏𝗏. This is another view where we see this is the main 𝗃𝗏, the Deula, and the 𝗏𝗏 dancing, and this is the cooking hall, and this is the old temple. So let us quickly see in few minutes how the drawing and individual constructions compare. So let us see what remains now. And after this, to sum up, I will have a brief video of an ASI movie, which are you able to see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to see the Facebook video?
Yes, sir. It's visible. Not visible, sir.
Are you able to see the movie?
Only your slide is visible.
Yeah, I'm showing the movie now. Right.
Yes.
Is the movie visible now?
Now it's visible.
Okay. So instead of going through slides, I thought I will have a sky view and explain some other things. So this is how we enter into this, and this is the overview. This is the 𝗃𝗏 viewed from a different angle, and this is the 𝗏𝗏. On the back, you see the dilapidated temple. So this is the 𝗏𝗏 with the 4 entrances where all the dance performance happens. And this area is beautiful, full of sculptures all over the place. This is the 𝗏𝗏, the cook house and the Bhojanasala. And you have a temple well on the left-hand side. This is the back side where you see the damaged temple. And this is life-size sculptures on the top. Each one is around 6 to 7 feet high. And this is the back. You can see only the wall is there, it's blank, and the temple up to this level is only there. The rest is damaged. And on this will be the superstructure coming up. We see only the base of the three sun images happening. This is the south sun image. And from there, the entire thing is, so you can see I'm just passing this. Here you can see that actually you can peek into the Garbhagriha. See, this is the Jagmoguna, and this is the Garbhagriha up to the wall. You can see the Simhasana, the pedestal on the top, and you can see that this is available only up to the wall level, and the entire superstructure is missing. They have cleaned up the entire area and they have left it at that. And this is the connecting passage between the Jagmoguna and the Deula. This is a straight top of view, and you can see the Singgasana here. This is where the pedestal would have. This beautiful wheels all over the place, total 12 wheels. And this is how it looks from southeast area. It has got 3 layers. This is the old sun temple, which was converted as a Devi temple after the main temple was consecrated. And this is old Narayana temple. And this is how you come into the entrance. And if you see this, there is a lion, and there is a horse, and there is an elephant on both sides. And you can see the life-size structures. And this is the elephant statue on this one, and this is the horse statues. Primarily, they are there, and so these are all national symbols and part of this one. And this is the dance performance hall opposite the south side. This is the pillars which I was talking about, the iron pillars. And this is the entrance which has been closed. If you see this, the inner side has been closed. And this is the base, this is the lintel top, the top portion of the entrance wall. And this gives an overview on how big the temple is and how grand it looks. You can see the front entrance from the view of Nathamantira. And this is and all these are around 6 feet. It is got a 3-layer potala, and all these are life-size sketches. This is the Beki, the top, and the Kalasa here on top is missing. Cool. And this is courtesy the ASA Bhubaneswar Circle, and it is a beautiful video. Now back to this. So far we have covered how the temple was rediscovered in 1800 and how it was renovated, and how then we discovered what are the documents we unearthed around 1960s, and from the document how we were able to piece together the construction history of the temple and how it gone to disuse, and some peek into what was originally planned and documented and how much is available there, and the aerial fly past view. So with this we finish this session of the presentation, and probably maybe at a later point of time, if time is given, we can have a detailed presentation on Konark, the structure, the temple architecture, and the beautiful sculptures and the mythological panorama available there. So till then, thank you all, and till we meet again. If you have any doubts or clarifications, you can always connect to me in my mobile or email or through Facebook. And many of my videos are always available in my YouTube channel, Babu4Heritage. And this also will be hosted at a later point of time in this channel. You can subscribe to the channel to get updates on the latest one. So, leaving this.
Sir. Thank you very much. Please, some participants, any participants is further more discussions.
Please raise your hand. We will allow to talk, please. Please unmute, sir.
Please unmute and introduce yourself. Then ask, sir.
Please unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Sir, myself, Srini Kumar. Basically, I'm an engineering graduate, but I learned this science from the 𝗓𝗍 MSc, and I'm truly promoting this knowledge through Healing Vastu Telugu. I'm from 𝗑𝗲𝗏 AP, Telugu person. So actually, I'm very passionate about this thing. I want to ask one thing, sir.
Yeah.
In the some mystery like word used, sir. So I want to ask one question. Every Stapathy want to construct an space consciousness, yeah, or equality. We will call it 𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗀. So did you find any such thing while doing research in Konark Temple? Why Stapathy want to build that monument? What type of 𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗀 he want to create, or the king, or what is the layout of a total thing? Just I want to know, sir. I'm very interested in that. I'm very happy to participate in this seminar.
Thank you for this. So basically, like I said in the presentation, I have also given some of the names of the Silpa Shastras they have this. Okay, and the Lingaraja temple, as well as this, confirms the exact measurements and the calculations given. And they have used the yantras or the floor plans that are recommended for grant. Okay. I can give a detailed share offline if you ping me. Next.
Okay, next, any person is there? I think OCD 4C80.
OCD 4C80.
Yeah, hello.
OCD 4C, a request to the participants.
Yeah, hello.
Please introduce yourself, sir. Then you ask.
Yeah, hello. Yeah.
Call you by name, and your friends also will be able to talk to you. So if you can talk. Another person can raise a question.
Yeah, hello. Hello, sir. This is Srinath.
Can you share your name, please?
My name is Srinath, and I'm participating in this session from Bangalore.
Okay.
I'm actually from Trichy in Tamil Nadu, which is close by to the big temple. It was a very good informative session, sir, and it is very interesting to know that some of the project management techniques that have been used in this temple, and it is also good to know that it has been documented so nicely. So my question is, sir, do we have this books available, or maybe in a PDF format? I mean the 𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀 and the
𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀 is available as a book. This is a fairly recent book, and
Okay.
it is available bulk form around 450 pages.
Okay.
I would recommend. I think it is. I think it is available in Banarsidass booksellers. It is best to invest on the book if you are interested in it.
Okay.
Charitable treasurers.
Okay. Okay. And the second thing is, sir, do we have a PDF file or maybe like a book again
No.
for the accounts, the project management documentation, which was handed over at the end of the completion of the temple?
At that time, they didn't have any PDFs. Okay,
No, not at that time.
and then
Yeah.
they copied all over the place. Okay, the book contains the extract of the 𝗬𝗃𝗀𝗏 and the other 3 documents which referred, and how they have pieced together the construction history based on that. That is a fantastic structure book, and I should credit my mentor Shyam. Namaskaram, sir.
Sivasankar sir.
Namaskaram.
Your name is changed to Srinath Reddy.
Oh, yes. No, నాది రావట్లేదు అందుకని సార్ నమస్కారం.
Please, sir, please.
Somebody is showing a stone on the background. Are you going to throw any stone now?
This is Neolithic stone tool that he is Mr. Ratnakar Reddy. He is known as a discovery man in this part of the country. Every day he goes and collects, he goes, explores, etc. I said that a great man. Sir, your lecture is wonderful, and it is first of its kind, and no other of its kind. We congratulate you. Then I presume that you might be one among the sculptors sent by the father-in-law of Deva, father-in-law of Narasihma from Madura.
Yes, probably in my earlier life I could have been one. Probably that is getting hit.
Yes, that is a very interesting story. In 𝗬𝗃𝗀𝗏, there is a small anecdote. That is, there was a quarrel between between Orissan sculptors and Madura sculptors. Then these people went on strike. After 1 week, they didn't do any work. Then the news reaches the king and queen. Both inquired what happened. They are ill-treating us, 𝗕𝗃𝗀𝗏. Then the king instructed that no, they are respectable people. They will do only door frames, only idols, not ordinary stones, etc. They don't do flooring, ceiling, etc. They don't do walls. They don't do. They do only door frames. Henceforth, do you please ensure that these people are respected, 𝗕𝗃𝗀𝗏. Then afterwards, sir, there is a very interesting account that one sculptor falls down from the scaffolding and he was given compensation for the first time. Then again, the story is connected to the main sculptor leaves his house, comes, the boy grows up, then he comes, and he was the responsible for correcting something. So you have really given a wonderful account right from the early investigations in 1800, prior to that, etc. The pictures are sumptuous. We really enjoyed. We congratulate on behalf of this thing. And at the same time, we should also thank Elise Boner, Sivasankar Sharma, and one more man I forgot.
Ultimate
all the 3.
Sivasankar and one more person. Ultimate.
Sivasankar, Elise Boner, and one more gentleman is there. That new light on Sun Temple at Konark. Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. We will again invite you for the same talk to repeat for our audience. Thanks. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. Pranam, sir.
கோனார்க் இந்த அளவுக்கு நீங்க ரிசர்ச் பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னா நம்ப முடியலங்க. Wonderful. Thank you, sir. So we are now conferring you an open MPhil to you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Mani, sir.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I have a bunch of questions. The first one is, were the temple sculptures painted or were they left bare? So as we see it now, did the plaster wear off or were they just left bare as we see them today? That's the first question.
To my knowledge, it was left bare. I don't think they were plastered and colored. They were left as it is. This is based on what it looks like. Primarily, if you see this, many of unlike some of the other temples, if you see this, after 200 years, this entire temple, many portions have been buried in sand. So if there has been color and plastering and other things, that would have remained intact, and then we'll be able to identify some traces, but not much painting related evidences are coming here.
And second question, sir, in terms of your wide knowledge in this arena, do you think this is perhaps probably the most well-documented temple construction project? Or do you think it's just that we haven't discovered palm leaves manuscripts for other temple structures?
To my knowledge, this is the only documented greenfield temple. The full construction completely documented. If you see many other temples, there are grand temples, but they have grown, like Srirangam and others, they have grown over a period. And there are temples, big temples, like 𝗕𝗯𝗂𝗏𝗏 or Tanjore big temple, which was constructed ground up extensively. But they talk about documentation post facto. After the temple has been completed, there are stone inscriptions saying that I have built this temple and these are the people who involved with me, and this is the kind of donation I have given for maintenance of temple and other things. But it doesn't talk about how the temple was built and how many years and what is the technology or the structure used. There is no documentation. Obviously, even we may find it some other time or later. Till now, we don't find a greenfield, the complete temple construction. This is the, to my knowledge, this is the only one temple having complete documentation. Some of the temples like Puri, they have grown over a period of time. From small, it has been expanded, and then they have become big temples. But there is some amount of documentation from earlier things.
And final.
𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗀.
Does it answer your question?
Small announcement. As usually, our next lecture is Heritage for Our Next Generation by 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗀, madam. She has written books on the historic architecture and cultural heritage of India. She has been a recipient of a US exchange program IVLP 2012. She has designed Hyderabad heritage walks for Telangana tourism. Thank you, madam, for accepting our invitation. We are waiting for our lecture as usually our next Sunday at 4 p.m.
Thank you, sir. Can I ask a question, sir?
Yes, madam.
Madam, please, madam.
Please.
Babu garu, it has been always a pleasure to hear you. I hope sometime get to see you in person. I just had one question mainly. You showed an image. I mean, I joined late. I'm sorry. So, you know, there were 4 people in the statue, 2 the smaller deities, and 1 in center and 1 to the right hand side. And you said that 1 is Raja. So, what is the broken statue about?
I missed a part of your question. Can you repeat that, please?
I think there was a discussion about some Varangal Raja, if I'm not wrong. And you use Vijaypuri, the word for Varangal, which you were talking about a Varangal Raja, and you showed us, you know, a figurine which had 4 statues together. A complete sculpture had 4 statues. So 2 statues were to the left and 1 to the right and 1 in center, where we couldn't see the torso, the upper part of the statue. I just wanted to know what statue was that.
Are you talking about where the Narasihma Deva worships 3 primary deities, right?
Yes.
These 3 deities are the linga, small one in the first. Standing next to that is the Jagannatha idol. And then next to that, on the extreme left, is the Surya temple.
Okay, so the one which is damaged, who's that? The one which is damaged. There are four figurines.
That is, they say that either it is Guru or Son, facing the king.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you. Welcome. Anything else?
Any others?
Hello,
Dr. Velu, sir.
sir. Sir, my name is Velu.
Vanakkam sir, solunga.
Vanakkam, sir. Sir, I'm working in the YTDA. Sir, Padmakesra Temple Architecture. That is more interesting for red granite stone construction. Your display of all the documentation with the stone sculpture, temple plans, drawing works. It's a very good visible on screen. It is a good information for stapathies. Many thankful for your good information for stapathies, sir. I'm very thankful to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Pranam. Thank you for your blessings.
Thank you, Velu, sir. Thank you. So can we go for conclusion?
Hello.
Shyam sir, please start with a vote of thanks.
Okay, thank you. Very good evening to all. Today's 36th lecture is organizing by Stapathya Kala Parishad. Myself, Dr. Shyam Rao, Organizing Secretary of Stapathya Kala Parishad. Thank you so much to all today's participants. Feel proud to propose vote of thanks to the today's 36th lecture program. It's my privilege to thank for today's honorable renowned speaker, Sri Sivasankar Babu garu, 𝗕𝗯𝗏𝗃𝗀 Trust, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Sir, your lecture, that is Padmakesra Deula, the Mystery of Konark, is another milestone in our entire lecture series, which is conducting by Stapathya Kala Parishad. Sir, your lecture is very interested and we feel mesmerized, really pleased to today's participants with a good start, beautiful introduction, that is overview, rediscovery, mysteries and history, etc. Your extraordinary presentation with wonderful slides, really appreciated, sir. Here we proud of your study, understanding and explaining method of entire the temple complex of Konark World Heritage Site. I thank one and all, especially Dr. 𝗕𝗯𝗏𝗃𝗀 garu, Stapathi garu, Dr. 𝗧𝗺𝗶𝗀 garu, Vijay Kumar garu, Nageshwar garu, other previous honorable speakers, and Padmapriya garu, Preeta Nair madam, Preeti Samyukta madam, Ved Kumar garu, Dr. Velu garu, Dr. Ravi Kumar garu, Srinivasachari garu, Paramashivam garu, 𝗦𝗶𝘃𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗀 garu, and previous honorable speakers and guest historians, archaeologists, professors, scholars, stapathies, sculptors, artists and architects all over the globe. Finally, who have participated in the lecture and discussion, which enriched our understanding of the subject. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation.
Thanks for an excellent time. And thanks for the encouraging and positive feedback.
Not encouraging, sir. We glad to you, sir.
Very positive support and interesting questions. And sorry, I could answer only few of the questions due to time constraint. And if any of you have still unanswered questions on this, feel free to contact me. I have shared my contact details in this. And then you can also view this in YouTube later, probably in another 1 or 2 days. And there are some similar presentations like this in temple architecture area that also will be helpful for you to understand the fundamentals of temple architecture. Thank you.
Yes,
have a
sir.
great day. Vanakkam, pranam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.